Hello everyone, this is Troy Kostasic for Explorminate, bringing you a Let's Play for Offworld Trading Company. Got this game about a week ago, and I've been learning to play it, and I noticed there aren't a whole lot of recent Let's Play videos for Offworld Trading Company, and so I thought I'd make one and put it up on our site. I'm going to play a game and take you through the basics here of what we got, and hopefully be able to string several games together. Here on the main menu, you've got several options. You can do a tutorial, learn how to play, do the campaign, which I haven't tried yet, a skirmish, or a daily challenge. This is something special that they cook up every day. Back to the main menu. There's single player games, multiplayer games. You can replay a game, or you can go to options here, control your volumes, set your graphics however you want. I leave all this stuff alone. You can change the gender of the voiceover for everything, change languages, all that sort of thing. Here's your hotkeys. I don't really mess with it, so leave it on the defaults. I'm going to go to a single player game. Again, I'm going to do a skirmish. Okay, going to do a new skirmish. Alright, difficulty. There's several different ones. Applicant is the easiest. I think I'll try an intern. Up here on these can be pretty hard. The AI gets really good at the upper difficulty levels, so learn how to play before you try those. There are 5 different map sizes: tiny, small, medium, large, and huge. Medium is a good size, I feel, for 2 AI players, 2 AI opponents. Any more, you might want something a little bit bigger. I leave the map on default. Never really messed around with that too much. You can adjust map speed. You can have up to 7 AI opponents, and game rules I leave on standard. So we're gonna start the game. So I hit play game, and while this thing loads, it does have a bit of a load time. I'll explain what this is. Offworld Trading Company is an RTS, a real-time strategy game, but instead of using a military to beat your opponent, you use economics. So the idea is to establish a company and then rule the market through commodities, buy low, sell high, produce what people want, and then buy out the stock of your opponents. So you can see me, I'm right here. I've got 2 opponents. Now there's a lot to look at here, and I'll try to explain it as much as I can. Alright. There are 4 different factions you can play in Offworld Trading Company. There's expansive, robotic, scavenger, and scientific. Now, the interesting thing about this game is you don't have to choose your faction right off the bat. You can wait. So each game is potentially going to be different, and you might choose a faction based on what your opponents do. The expansive faction gets an extra claim, which claim, if you think about maybe in the Old West, where you claim a section of a mountain or something, you mine it for resources. It's kind of like that here. You're on Mars, and you want to claim different sections of the planet because they're going to have different materials available. Scavenger, well, let's see, hold on. Back to expansive. They need 50% less steel for buildings, which is great because it lets you build your buildings faster, lets you upgrade your main building faster, and also your units travel 50% faster. So if you're carting materials over a great distance, this means you're going to stockpile commodities faster, which is great. You want to do that. because that means you can upgrade your buildings faster and you can sell those commodities faster, get an advantage that way. The scavenger is a bit of a different faction. In some RTSs, you'll have like a faction that does really well with pirates and cloak and dagger type stuff. Well, that's what the scavengers do. They can use the black market more frequently. Black market's over here, and I'll explain that in a moment. And they learn about other news events such as price crashes or demand spikes before the other factions. And their base resource is carbon. They need a lot of carbon to get by. The expansive faction needs a lot of steel. All right, the scientific faction, it can build buildings over resources, and it will use those resources as an input. So you can plop it down right on some resources, and the building itself acts as a mine. So that's great. It means you get like a lot of extra claims right off the bat. It also takes less time to recover from things from the black market. So, like the scavenger might buy something like a EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, and hit your buildings with it to knock out their computer systems. Well, your buildings, if you're the scientific faction, will recover in half the time, which means that all this black market stuff, which can be pretty vicious at times, is not as devastating to you. So if you're one of the last ones to choose a faction, and you see somebody has chosen scavenger, you might want to pick scientific. And then finally is the robotic faction. That's my favorite. The headquarters of your corporation does not require life support. Also, the headquarters requires less aluminum electronics instead of glass to upgrade. And your units use electricity or power instead of fuel. So they're a much more efficient faction than some of the others because they use fewer resources. And, I like that in a lot of different games that I play. If I play a game like Gal Civ 3, I'll make a custom faction that doesn't need food. If I'm playing Endless Legend, I play the Broken Lords because they don't use food. It seems like whatever faction can get away with using fewer resources tends to be stronger in strategy games. It seems like the devs never really quite get that balance exactly right. It's nicer to not have to worry about so much. Buildings also receive an adjacency bonus for being next to other buildings that supply an input resource, including powers. So that's kind of like a little bit like Gal Civ 3 when you're placing different buildings next to each other and they get a bonus because they're adjacent. Similar type of idea here. And you get extra bonus resources under the HQ. So if you build on top, like you consume those, like it's a one-time shot, but you get more if you're the robotic. All right. I'll just talk about the black market real quick. These are like underhanded, dirty tricks you can play on your opponents, and they're somewhat randomized. They're not going to be the same thing every time. So, okay, this one is purchase bribe a claim. The planetary UN rewards claims to companies that bring colonists to Mars. They also reward claims to companies that give them big stacks of money under the table. So if you're out of claims, remember claims is how you get territory and get resources, you can buy one on the black market. Pirates are kind of fun. What they do is they rob your opponent's supply lines and bring those commodities to you. There's a power surge. It can rip through buildings connected to each other, and it'll disable them for a period of time. Like, so you see how these buildings here are all in a row. Now this is a neutral city. This is here to buy your stuff. So this is where your demand for your supply comes from. But anyway, you see how all these buildings are in a line together. If this were an opponent, I could line up a power surge here and knock out all those buildings, be very powerful. Let's see. I can purchase an adrenaline boost. It gives a production boost to some of my workers. I don't know how that would work for like a robotic faction, since I don't think that drugs would be as effective on artificial life, but I've never actually tried that. Maybe I'll try that in the game. You can purchase a network virus, which takes over control of a building so that it cannot be turned off. And it cannot be scrapped and will automatically buy input resources. Um, Basically, that'd be good if like your opponent wants to just collect a few, I don't know, units of oxygen to build a chemical plant or something, and they need to shut that off to save power. Well, now they can't if it's got a network virus. There's also a mutiny. This one's a lot of fun. It allows you to bribe the workers in an opponent's building to work for you, and so you will get like all their aluminum or all their carbon or all their electricity, and while the mutiny is taking place. So that's pretty powerful. And then the last one is Goon Squad, which is one I probably use the most. It says that the Goon Squad will protect a tile from enemy sabotage. If targeted, you will capture the sabotage for yourself. So they're kind of like night watchmen. They watch over your factories or your power plants or whatever to make sure nobody messes with them. And if somebody tries to mess with them, for instance, if somebody tries to use a power surge against you, the Goon Squad will stop it and you'll get that power surge. Or if they try to mutiny your building, you'll get that mutiny and you'll be able to target one of their buildings with it. So it's pretty good. It's a one-shot use, though. Once the Goon Squad has defended your building, it's gone. You'll have to buy another one to replace it. All right, what else? Okay, so there's lots of different resources or commodities in the game. You got power, water, food, oxygen, fuel, aluminum, iron, steel, carbon, silicon, chemicals, glass, and electronics. And over here is the price. This is how much it is to buy or sell these things. To start the game, before I start, let's look at a couple other things. All right, here, this is, you can send out, this is like your propaganda machine. You can send out false information, like say you want to say there's a power shortage to drive up the price of power because you're producing excess and you can sell it. You can try to propaganda everybody into believing that there is a shortage of it, or you might want to say there's a food surplus and drive the price down because you want to buy some food. You can try that. You can enhance each of your collectors here for these things by researching them. So you'll get a 25% bonus to these types of buildings, but it does require an upgrade laboratory to do those. Patents are another type of research or technology. They give you special abilities that no one else can get once you own it. So like you can get teleportation, which means you can teleport resources much faster. You can get a thinking machine, which means you get more protection from black market shenanigans, that sort of thing. And then finally, you can sell your goods off-world if you build an off-world market. It's kind of like a launch platform for rockets. Okay? All right. Let's see. Okay. When you start the game, and I'll show you what that looks like, and then in the next episode, I'll actually get to playing. When you start the game, everything's covered by a fog of war. Okay, you see how it's all grayed out except here at the neutral city. Okay? Everything's all grayed out. You have to explore. You have to prospect. And there's different land types, and in those land types tend to be certain materials. Like, okay, here's a sandy area. More than likely, you're going to have silicon in that. Here's a crater. More than likely, you'll have carbon. Rocky area, you'll have aluminum, riverbed, water. Okay, these aren't guaranteed though. Okay, just because those symbols are there doesn't guarantee anything. All right, so you got to explore. You got to you got to find out what's there, prospect, and then put down your claims. All right. So I'm gonna unpause the game just real briefly, and you see I've got a little tool here, and it scans, and then all of a sudden you see this little streak of light coming out of the ground. That means the sensors have detected there's a resource there, but you don't know what it is yet. So you have to explore there.
Aluminum found.
All right, so that's aluminum. Aluminum is represented by these green cubes,
High levels of aluminum found.
and there's different numbers of cubes in each hex. Okay, 1 means a low deposit, 2 means a medium deposit, and 3 means a high deposit. Very easy, very simple and intuitive, right? Obviously, you want to claim higher deposits because you'll get more commodities that way. All right, so the first part of the game, you're just going to be scanning, and you kind of want to do that. It's kind of the explorer portion of the game, and you can just see what's out there, see if there's anything you want. And you're going to need a diversity of commodities when you're playing. You don't just want to put all your eggs in one basket and say, oh, okay, I found aluminum. I'm going to build right here. I'm going to grab aluminum, sell that, and win the game. You're going to need a lot of different resources in order to win. So it pays to scan, make sure you get everything. And boy, this map is not good. This is kind of a bad map for finding resources here. Well, anyway, I will continue my explorations in the next episode. This is Troy Kostasik for Explorminate, bringing you Offworld Trading Company. Thank you very much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.